When you're factoring, the most important thing is to make sure that there's not a common factor prior to solving the equation. Sometimes, if there's a GCF, it can mess with your factoring problems if you don't go ahead and take it out first. We have one like 3x squared minus, I'm going to call this example 1, 3x squared minus 6x plus 9. The first thing before we can solve this one is go ahead and take out a GCF. And you may actually know what the multiples are, and you might already know that this is 3, so I know the GCF is 3. If you know what the GCF is, that means that it's the biggest number that can divide into all 3 of the terms of your trinomial, or if you've got a binomial, same thing. We're going to go ahead and divide each term by the GCF. So I'm going to take 3x squared and divide it by 3. That leaves me with just x squared. The next one is negative 6x, or minus 6x. Divided by 3 gives me negative 2x. And then the last one, plus 9 divided by 3 is 3. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take whatever our GCF was and we're going to put it on the outside. So you might want to write yourself a note that this is the GCF, and then each one of these are where we are dividing by the GCF. Okay? All right, but sometimes you end up getting a problem that you don't maybe know what the GCF is right away. So let's try example 2, and we're going to do some bigger numbers. Let's do 96x squared minus 46x plus 18. All right, on this one, I know that they're all even, so I'm going to go ahead and say that a 2 can come out of this one, a 2 can come out of this one, and a 2 can come out of this. I'm going to do, if you don't know, make sure you can still see it in the screen, know the GCF. Use a factor tree to identify the GCF. Okay. So if we don't know what our GCF is, like I probably couldn't even look at this one right off the bat and just tell you what the GCF is. So I'm going to start factoring by the things that I know. And you may want to write yourself like a note over here on the side. If it ends in 0 or 5, you know that it can be divided by 5. If it's even, you know that it can be divided by 2. So these are just kind of cheat sheets when you're going through it. Otherwise, if it's not a 0 or 5 or even, then I would just start going through the prime numbers. Otherwise, try prime numbers. Like 3, we've already tried 5, that one wouldn't work, 7, 11, 13, etc. Okay? So typically if you try 3, 7, or 11, sometimes 13 might be in there, but typically these 3 will start bringing out other factors. All right, so let's keep going with this problem. I've got 96 divided by 2, and that's going to give me 48. All right, 46 divided by 2 is 23. And one of my students said, well, Miss P, what do I do with this negative? Notice when we were up here at the top, we just brought down that negative with the problem when we divided by the GCF. So if you want to, you just need to remember that the signs are going to stay the same unless they're negative all the way across. Then you might want to factor out a negative. All right, and then this one is going to be 2 times 9. So let's go ahead and factor this out a little bit more. We have, well, this is a prime number, and then we know that 9 is 3 times 3. So if we know that 23 is a prime number, I know that 18 cannot be divided by 23. And I know that 96 is not probably going to be divided by 23. So I could have stopped here, but I'm going to keep going just to show the process. So I'm going to keep breaking it down to prime factorization. I'm going to put circles once I hit a prime number. So all these numbers are prime. This is 8. 6 is 3 times 2. Those are prime. And 8 is 2 times 4. 2 is prime, and 2 and 2. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my highlighter, and I'm going to highlight what they all have in common. So if I have this 2 right here, I'm going to look for any other 2's in the other problem. So I knew that this one was divisible by 2 and this one was divisible by 2. Make sure you're not highlighting every single 2. So for each 2, there has to be a match. So if I wanted to highlight this one, that would mean that this one would have to have a 2 and this one would have to have a 2 as well. There's not another match between these. So our GCF for this is 2. All right, so same thing. We're going to go back to what we did up here on this problem. And if you want to, I didn't realize that I didn't put a box around it, but put a box around your answer so you can find it a little easier. All right, so we're going to take our problem and divide it again by 2. 96x squared minus 46x plus 18. Divide each term by 2. Okay, so while I'm dividing this one, I've got 48x squared. I've got negative 23x, and then here comes down positive 9. And again, GCF is going out to the front. And there's our final answer. So I hope this helps. From here, we would go ahead and factor the rest of this. I'm not going to because this problem was not made with the idea of factoring it the rest of the way. I'd probably end up having to use the quadratic formula for it. But that is as far as you need to go for the GCF. All right, see you next time.